What's up, JS Blanche? Uh, I've seen your videos, and I'll just say that I'm glad you contacted me because I like your insight, and I hope that we can continue this dialogue. Uh, I want to get into your questions because your questions were very on point. The first one was interesting, and I get in a little bit of trouble because I'm real skeptical as far as the ancient worlds and ancient civilizations and things like that. I have an open mind. I'm waiting for direct physical evidence. But besides that, I can look at it and appreciate it as a myth or, a symbol. I look at those things like a work of art or a metaphor. I look at them abductively, and I can derive a lot of value from that. For example, there's this book called The Kybalion, and what the Kybalion is ancient Egyptian mystical text. It was actually preserved by the Egyptians and rumored to be from an even earlier civilization, aka Atlantis or something like that. When you're reading the Kybalion as it's presented, it's not really the original Kybalion. That book is secret, and it's supposedly, according to the myth, it's only seen by chief adepts, so on and so forth. So you get the Cliff Notes version. Now, all that backstory, it really has nothing to do with what the text actually presents, which is very good, a very good primer on consciousness and, a lot of issues that we talk about today, and I think it has a lot of value. Now, the whole backstory behind it is like really extra. So sometimes the myths are relevant, sometimes they're not. So I just try to look for what's relevant with the myths. Now, The Matrix is a modern myth. That whole movie is chock full of practical, real information, though. Like, the writers knew what they were talking about. So I can appreciate that modern myth, and take a lot out of it. Now, your second question, how about talking to people? Now, that's a real tough one, and I would say first and foremost, you gotta pick your battles. You gotta pick your battles, while keeping in mind that it is a battle. Make no mistake about it. It is a battle. It's a war, because I don't want to say fighting ignorance because that's so abstract, but it is a battle. And these, people are going to hold tight to their religious beliefs no matter how logical it is. I mean, if an adult doesn't believe in the tooth fairy, there's no good reason for them to continue to believe in a Yahweh of the Bible. There's no good reason for that. But, they're still going to, you have to pick your battles, and you got to make sure you have good timing and a diverse array of angles that you can approach it from. But it needs to be done, and that's why I'm glad that you're making the effort to do that. Because a lot of times people, especially in the wisdom traditions and of the West, secrecy is a high priority. And you can't really blame people who advocate secrecy too much, because look at what happened to Jesus, look at what happened to Buddha. So you have to be honest and acknowledge that, it's 2009, but that could be you very easily, depending on what your agenda, what your truth that you're trying to communicate is. So you gotta be smart and pick your battles, and for the most part, don't take it personal, because the reason that people may or may not understand or seemingly reject your message, it's a whole bunch of factors and things of that nature. So you just gotta be, conscious of that. As far as how long I've been practicing, I would say, my whole life, but undisciplined, with no structure. Only in the last probably 5 years have I had some type of structure to my spirituality, and only in the last 2 years have I had, I would say, a good structure to my spirituality. And how I started to see results in that was that I would become a better artist. And you gotta understand that my definition of art is real expanded, and it includes a whole bunch of things. Artists have mediums that they express themselves with, and I don't think there's a limit to that medium. It can take the form of anything. And what I started to realize is that, I really am trying to play with this model of the holographic universe and things of that nature, but I would be able to project what I want better. I would also experience direct knowing, those type of things, and everything very practical, because that's what I try to make sure that I keep my spirituality as grounded as possible. But yeah, that's basically it. And I'd be interested to hearing more from you, and I hope that was a good, answer or whatever. Alright, thanks, bro.